Hi all, today we are going to discuss about Drysdale phase shifting transformer. So which is used for getting the variable phase shift in the output voltage. That means output voltage will have the constant magnitude, but phase of the output voltage can be continuously varied. This is particularly used for AC potentiometer circuits, so which we are going to discuss in the measurement subject. Polar type of AC potentiometer, so there it is used, Drysdale polar potentiometer. So let us proceed further. So I am taking, for example, I am taking a distributed winding. I am taking some stator, which is circular stator. On the stator, the winding is made like the distributed winding. For the distributed winding, let us assume I have given the DC supply. So now the current of magnitude I1 is passing in such a way. Here it is a dot. Dot means the current is coming towards us, and here this side it is cross. That means this winding is connected back to back like this in the circular form. So here it is cross. Here the current is entering inside. So in order to know the direction of the magnetic field that is produced because of this, you can get it from the right hand thumb rule. So here you hold the winding in your hands in such a way, your curled finger indicates the direction of the current, then your thumb indicates the direction of the magnetic field or the direction of the north pole that is produced. So now if you apply to this one, you can see the field is coming upwards. So let us take this one, that means where this field will come. So here I am taking this as my reference angle. So I am taking that angle as theta is equal to 0 degrees, and this theta will vary in the clockwise direction. That means this theta will vary in the clockwise direction. So now the MMF that is produced by this one, because the MMF will be maximum at this point and MMF will be negative here because south pole is coming, MMF will be negative at this instant. That means we can tell when theta is equal to 0 degrees that MMF will be positive maximum, and when theta is equal to 180 degrees, MMF will be negative maximum. If you calculate the MMF in the center here, the MMF will vary sinusoidally and it will go on changing, and at this point it will be 0. Similarly, at this point also it will be 0. That means if you open your rotor in such a way, if you open the stator in such a way that you draw the waveforms, that means I am just taking the conductors. These are the 4 conductors here, these are the 4 conductors here. So this I am taking by cross, and this I am representing by dot. So the MMF, we got the maximum at this point. So if you are providing the distributed winding, we can assume that the MMF distribution will be nearly sinusoidal. So it will come like this. Actually practically it will be nearly stepped wave, but we can assume it that to approximate it as a sine wave. So this will be my MMF distribution. So this is my MMF F. This is my MMF distribution. So at this point, because this center I am taking theta is equal to 0 and the theta is varying. This is theta is equal to 0 and theta is varying like this. This is my reference point. Or otherwise the equation for the MMF with respect to the theta, that means along your stator axis. So this I can write in the form F is equal to N is the number of turns of this conductor multiplied by current passing through each turn, that is equal to I1, multiplied by cos theta, that means at theta is equal to 0 it will be maximum. When you take theta is equal to 90 degrees or 270 degrees it will become 0. Theta is equal to 180 it becomes minus, that means a negative. So this condition is also satisfied. Or the same MMF distribution I have mentioned here, that F is maximum here, 0 at 90 degrees and it is varying like this. Getting it? So now instead of DC, if I am applying the AC signal, that means that current is not constant magnitude, it is varying with respect to time. And let us assume instead of taking the DC current, I am taking AC current given by I maximum sin omega t. So when you are giving the AC current, what will happen to the MMF? This MMF will be equal to N into, because instead of I, now it become instantaneous current because current is continuously changing cos theta. So what is this instantaneous current? It is I maximum sin omega t. So your overall MMF will become equal to N into I maximum sin omega t into cos theta. That means if you are taking at a particular instant and any particular instant of theta or at any particular location cos theta, the MMF magnitude or the magnitude of this F is not constant. It will vary sinusoidally with respect to the time. This is the equation we got. So similarly, I am taking another winding like this. That means wherever the space is there, that space I have filled with another distributed winding. Let us assume the current is passed in such a way, I will get the MMF direction like this. That means when we can get it, here you take the cross and here you take the dot. Apply your right hand thumb rule again. Again, keep your fingers in such a way that curled finger indicates the direction of the current and your thumb indicates the direction of the magnetic field. So F2 is like this. So again, this MMF I can represent because here it is maximum. Again, I am taking theta as same here. Here theta is equal to 0 is here. So at this point, what will be theta? Theta is equal to minus 90 degrees. That means when theta is equal to minus 90 degrees, MMF will be positive maximum. So that's why this equation I can write in the form n times of I2 into cos theta plus 90 degrees. When you keep theta is equal to minus 90 plus 90 will cancel, MMF will come maximum. When theta is equal to 0, MMF will be 0. When theta is equal to 90 degrees, so MMF will be negative. So it is satisfying. So similar way here, let us assume instead of giving the DC current, I am supplying an AC current. That AC current is having like this I maximum sine of omega t plus 90 degrees. That means this current is leading the previously discussed current by 90 degrees. That means it is leading by 90 degrees. Omega t plus 90 means it is leading. So now when you substitute in the formula, it will become F2 is equal to n into I maximum sine omega t plus 90 degrees into cos of theta plus 90. Because this remaining terms are same, I2 I have replaced with this instantaneous value. This is my value of I2. Getting it? Or F2 I can write as minus n into I maximum into cos omega t into sin theta. So now if you want to find the resultant MMF in the space in between, that means in the air gap, that resultant MMF can be written as Fr. That resultant MMF will be sum of MMF produced by the each winding. So we can tell it as F1 plus F2. So this I can write as n times of I maximum into. So first signal we got sin omega t cos theta, and the second one is minus cos omega t sin theta because negative sign is there here. Or this is of the form sin A cos B minus cos A sin B. So when you simplify this one, you will get it in the form. So I am just simplifying this I maximum, I am converting to RMS form. This n and whatever is coming, so I am converting in the form K1. So this I can write as a K1 into I times of sin omega t minus theta. So this indicates the equation of rotating magnetic field with the constant value of K1 multiplied by I and rotating at a velocity of omega radians per second. So this we have already discussed in the machines also, the rotating magnetic field, that means three-phase rotating magnetic field. You can please refer to the topic if you want to know that how the waveform comes and other things. In order to save time, I am not going for the waveform and other things of this rotating magnetic field. Okay, now I am proceeding further. So we can use this principle for getting the phase shifting transformer. So let us see how this can be employed. So for this what we will do, I am taking a sinusoidal supply. So for this supply, I am keeping two windings on the stator. This is my first winding. So first winding is directly connected to the supply, and this is my second winding. This second winding is connected in series with a capacitor and a resistor. So these values of the capacitor and resistor are adjusted in such a way that there will be a phase shift of 90 degrees between these two windings. So whenever two windings are having the currents which are displaced by 90 degrees and physically also they are displaced by 90 degrees, in that case we have discussed that, or we have seen that a rotating magnetic field will be produced which will rotate at the constant magnitude but rotate with respect to time. So now this rotating magnetic field is rotating in the rotor. So because of the rotating magnetic field, now what I am doing, I am keeping some winding in the rotor. Some winding is kept on the rotor. Here's rotor is at fixed position. It is not free to rotate. So because of this rotating magnetic field, and there is a stationary rotor and there is a rotating magnetic field, so dynamically induced EMF will be induced in the rotor winding. Dynamically induced EMF will be induced in the rotor winding. So which will be proportional to that rotating magnetic field. So that means we can tell that the EMF induced in the rotor will be some constant times of, it depends on the current that is passing through the windings I into sine omega t minus theta. That means the EMF is induced in this one. This EMF induced will be sinusoidal EMF only because the rotating magnetic field is changing with respect to time or rotating with respect to time. So that will be depending on the location theta. Depending on which location you are keeping your rotor, accordingly the EMF will be induced in that one, or the EMF induced in this rotor circuit will be displaced from the stator voltage by an angle theta, depending on where we are keeping the theta. So now in order to know that what is the value of the theta, so a scale will be provided on the rotor circuit. So depending on which particular location you are keeping, we can directly read what is the angle. Like if the winding is kept here, it is 0. If the winding is kept here, it is 90. In that way, we can easily measure it. So before proceeding to this one, so you will get the doubt how the two-phase supply will be produced, because that shifting will be clear to you, I hope. So now to get the two-phase supply, so what we are doing, if you go back to this, it is having two windings, right? This is my first stator winding, this is my second stator winding. So if you take any winding, that winding will have the inductance as well as the resistance. Similarly, this coil also will have the inductance as well as resistance. So that I have represented here. First coil is having R1 and L1, which is connected to supply. And the second winding is also connected across the supply, which is having an inductance of L2 and R2, that is connected in series with a variable resistor and a variable capacitor. Getting it? So now the impedance of the first winding will be Z1 will be equal to R1 plus j omega L1, and the impedance of the second winding Z2 will be equal to, two resistors are there, R2 and R. This will be R plus R2 plus j times of the impedance because of L2 will be omega L1, and the impedance because of the capacitor will be 1 by j omega c, or otherwise that j I can take to the numerator, will become minus j by omega c. That j I have taken outside, so this will become omega L1 minus 1 by omega c. This is the value of impedance we got. So now this is my applied voltage. For this applied voltage, let us assume the capacitance is dominating the inductance. So if the capacitive reactance is dominating the inductance, then the current will lead the voltage by some angle. We have already seen in basic electrical engineering. Let us assume the current passing through it is leading the voltage by some angle. So this is my value of I2. So this I2, the voltage drop because of the resistance, that means I2 multiplied by R2 plus R will be in phase with the current. And now the voltage drop because of this one, this will be, because it will be, because we are assuming the capacitive reactance is dominating. So that's why whatever is the equation here, I have interchanged them. Interchanged means minus j will come here. That means if you are taking the axis like this, so this is my real axis and this will be imaginary axis. Getting it? Minus j means it will come in the second side. So you can see, try to represent this. If this is my current I2, this is my current I2, I have to represent minus j. Minus j means we have to draw like this. That's why I have draw it 90 degrees perpendicular at the end of this tip, because this angle will be 90 degrees. I hope this is clear to you. If you still have the doubt about how to draw the phasor diagrams for AC, you can please refer to basic electrical engineering playlist. I hope you already have idea. So this will be minus j times of I2 into 1 by omega c minus omega L2. So this will be equal to, sum of these two drops will be equal to your supply voltage. Agree with me? Similarly, the current I1 will lag behind this voltage by some angle. So this will be sum of voltage drop will be sum of I1 multiplied by R1, which will be in phase with the current I1, plus j times of I1 into omega L1. If you are taking this as real axis, you can see imaginary axis will come like this. So that's why this I have added to the tip. J into I1 into omega L1. Again, this sum also will be equal to V. So now the value of these resistors, inductor or the capacitors are adjusted in such a way, this angle will be equal to 90 degrees. That means they should be adjusted in such a way, the phase difference between these two currents should be equal to 90 degrees, because that is what we want. The value of I2 should be leading I1 by 90 degrees. So for getting that, because both the currents should be have the equal magnitude and they are in quadrature. They should have the same magnitude but they are in quadrature. That means I2 is nothing but, because I2 is leading the current I1 by 90 degrees, which I am representing by j times of I1. So what is I? I is nothing but voltage by impedance, that is voltage divided by I2 is having, that is Z2 is R plus R2 plus j times of omega L2 minus 1 by omega c is equal to j times of voltage I am taking as the reference. So it is V divided by impedance will be R1 plus j omega L1. Remember here I am taking voltage as my reference. That's why I have not represented the angle. So from this, voltage is same on the both the sides, it will cancel. Now do the cross multiplication. So you will get it as R1 plus j omega L1. This is brought this side and this is brought this side. That means it is multiplied with j. It becomes j times of R plus R2. And the second term j multiplied by j, it is j square. J square is equal to minus 1. That's why it becomes minus omega L2 minus 1 by omega c. So now I am separating the real and imaginary terms on both the sides. So when you compare the real and imaginary terms, because these two will be equal, when real part is also equal, imaginary part also equal. So real part means R1 is equal to, so this you can compare with the second side, that means minus omega L2 plus 1 by omega C, or this I can rearrange, R1 plus omega L2 is equal to 1 by omega C, and comparing the imaginary terms you will get it as omega L1 is equal to R plus R2, or otherwise I can tell that omega L1 minus R2 is equal to R. So here the value of R1, L1, R2, L2, we cannot vary them because they are fixed, because once the coil is designed they are fixed. So only variables which we can vary are this capacitance and the resistance. That means you have to vary the capacitance and resistance in such a way 1 by omega C will be equal to R1 plus omega L2, and similarly this R will be equal to omega L1 minus R2. By doing this adjustment, so we can get the exact phase shift of 90 degrees between the two currents. So once the current of phase shift of 90 degrees is obtained, the remaining procedure you already understood. So keep the winding in the rotor, depending on which location you are keeping, the EMF will induced in the winding, which will be sinusoidal but displaced by an angle which is depending on which location you are keeping your winding. If you are keeping your rotor winding at theta is equal to 0, that means this theta will be replaced by 0 here. So similarly, if you are keeping the theta in any other location, accordingly the value will vary. So accordingly you will get the lagging or leading in the output value when compared to the input source. So what is the application of this one? This I am going to discuss in the measurements. So this is particularly useful for AC potentiometers, as I have discussed with you. So this you can refer to AC potentiometers topics in measurements to know the application of this method.